Mommy, hold on to your hat. All of your children are here.
You got all your kids. Look at them.
No, you know how many you got? How many children do you have?
I have 4.
But how many did you have?
Half.
Yeah, you had 5.
Anthony's here too.
Yes. Who's coming in the door now? I wouldn't lie to you, Mommy.
Mom,
I found you. I found you. That's the longest game of hide and seek I ever played.
He's a real good hider, huh?
Where's your roommate, Mommy?
you alright?
You okay, Mom?
Yeah, Mommy.
Okay, lay your flowers down.
The records got opened last week. It took me 2 days to find all of y'all. I just needed to be able to get the name. I got the name.
You got it.
Well, all these years the records have been closed. The law changed, and I was able to get them.
Oh.
And as soon as I got them, I was able to find everybody. This is my fiancée, Jana. We'll be married in August.
Oh boy, that still gets me. My loving wife, Jana, was smart enough to give me some tissue before I came. That was Redman, my birth mother, who has since passed. And I was that day was so many emotions and so much happened to make that day come to fruition. One of the things about that moment that you weren't able to see or hear, and by the way, thank you so much, Betsy and Morris, for allowing me this opportunity. One of the things you weren't able to hear was when my mother hugged me. She very quietly exhaled my name, my birth name. I hadn't heard my mother call my name, say my name, since I was 4 years old. And it's a powerful moment. Suffice it to say that I've done some speaking before, and I was talking to last year's speaker who encouraged me that this topic has the ability to transport me back to a time of vulnerability. And so if you don't mind, I'm not going to take up your time, but I am going to take my time. If that's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Those other yahoos in the video were my siblings that I didn't know I had. I always felt I had a sister, and she was one of the driving forces for me to seek out my identity, my original family, because I missed her. Then I come to find out I got 2 brothers and another sister, and they're a little bit older. But I'm so blessed to be able to connect with them. Then I found out I had a father. I said, well, wait, this is just, it was really like too much. I was happy to find my mother and my sister, but boy, I tell you, I got, and so it has been a, quite a journey. And really crazy, funny, interesting things. My sister came over to the house. Her name is Tony. And we were sitting on our couch, and I was going through family photo albums, so you can see that what I looked like when I was little growing up. We were just walking through the photo album, and we stopped on a page, and she says, Felton? I said, yeah, that's my wife's brother. She said, well, he married my what is it, brother? Yeah. So we found out sitting on the couch that my wife's brother married her ex-husband's sister. And no, get this, now, if that's not crazy enough, we were sitting there looking at pictures. I think it was around the time that Felton and Julia got married. And I said, well, we went to the wedding. Did you go to the wedding? And she said, yeah, I was there. And I said, well, I'll be doggone. We had to have seen each other. And she said, well, my kids was in the wedding. I said, well, you kidding me? Felton and his sister got in an argument. And I don't know if y'all know, some of these siblings, they fight. They was mad at each other. And he said, well, your kids talking about my children. They don't need to be in the wedding. I said, well, that's terrible. And me and my first wife, we said, well, we fight that. Well, we win. And come to find out, we're sitting on the couch, and my sister tells me, well, I got this frantic call asking me if my children could be the flower girl and the ring bearer in the wedding. So my sister, who I missed all my life, and I were at the same wedding. Our kids was running around together, and we didn't know each other. That is something. I wanted to tell you that I got 2 things I want to tell you. I wouldn't have ever been able to do what I did, the search, if it hadn't been for Adoption Network Cleveland. A friend told me about Adoption Network Cleveland and the work that they were doing to get the records opened, and I thought, well, I'm all for that. And it was if, again, I was 5 years old when I first talked with Betsy. I think we had a phone call. I knew I was speaking with someone who understood where I was coming from. And I'm going to share something with you now that I debated. Oh, by the way, I did have 3 points in the poem. I did have 3, only a few people know that reference. I did have 3 points in the poem to share with you today. But I decided that this opportunity is too important. And I really want you to get the importance of the Adoption Network Cleveland. So I'm going to tell you a story. It's kind of personal. I've only shared it with a handful of people. So I was nervous about it. Y'all pray for me. Kay Redman, who you saw, my birth mother, she had such a pretty smile, which that's where I get it from. Yeah. I found out I have her laugh. I thought it was mine. Well, I have a memory. Around 4 years old. Don't ask me how this happened, but my mother, Kay, used to visit one of my last foster home. And we didn't interact and engage much. but we always hugged before she left. Right? And I remember one day at the door, my mother bent down. She always got on her knees, and I came over to her, and she hugged me. And that same lady that exhaled my name, Anthony, told me very quietly that she was never going to be able to see me again. And it broke me. I was about 4 years old or so. But it broke me. And I went into a quiet place where I had a little desk made for little 4-year-olds. And I put my head down. And I closed my eyes. And I fell into this state. And in this state, in my mind, I began to fall. I began to fall into this deep, dark, almost pitch black hole, just of despair. As I was falling, I got scared. I mean, I literally felt like I was falling. And I could only muster 2 words. In my mind, I said, help me. Help me. Well, as the story goes, later that next year or so, I was adopted by a very loving family, Lester and Evelyn Cardwell. My name was changed to Mark because they already had an adopted boy and his name was Anthony, so that would have been confusing. Now you see why it was important for me to hear my mother call my name. And my mom and my dad, Lester and Evelyn, were wonderful parents. They were both gone now. And they loved me and, but they didn't know how to help me. I was still in that place. We just add on another layer. We being kids who have gone through this, we just add on another layer. But I was still in that place of help me. But mom and dad did the best they could. They loved me for sure, no doubt. They didn't really understand what I needed. I went to school and, I was young. I don't know what kind of trauma I came out of, but they always had counselors wanting to talk to me. I guess to see how I was doing. Honestly, but they didn't know how to, they didn't understand what that help me meant. And I wanted to tell you that got married, had kids, I did all that. I was still at that help me place. When I finally started the search, it was the conversation I had with Betsy that let me know I was talking to somebody that knew how to help me, that understood what was going on. I had lost my family, my identity. And so what I wanted to do with you guys today is I wanted you to just do me one favor as we think about supporting the Adoption Network Cleveland. I want you to close your eyes and listen. Because if you listen closely, you will hear thousands and thousands of people right now in their darkest place, in trauma, in confusion, in the separations. And you know, they may not be putting all the words together, but they're all in one way or another saying, help me. This organization is uniquely equipped to provide that help, that assistance, that empathy, that understanding, that hand holding. I don't know how many times I asked Betsy some question about the process. It's needed reassurance to keep me going forward. Wonderful staff, wonderful organization. I work with lots of organizations, and I'm going to tell you something. It's unique to not only find a founder that has maintained this fire for a cause in the face of all kinds of operational this, operational that. Listen, this is unique. This is impactful. And this is important. And I want you to always remember that when you support the Adoption Network Cleveland, you are supporting all of those people, all of those young people, all of those families that are saying in one way or another, help me. That's what I wanted to share with you this week. Hear them. Betsy hears me. She heard me. And when she met me, she doesn't know she met a 5-year-old. And I appreciate you. And I thank you. Thank you.